What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the fighting game tutorial series. In today's episode, we are going to continue going over cleaning up our animation blueprint in our game. We've had many episodes on cleaning up our game over the years, and we're going to be doing another one today for our animation blueprint. For those of you that have been following along with every single cleanup episode and every single episode in the series in general, you'll know that we're very close to being done with all of our cleanup to this point in the series. We've gone back and we've cleaned up our character, our projectiles, our hitboxes, our data tables, our game mode, a lot of our widgets and menus, and even more. We've also gone back and cleaned up our animation blueprint, but this one still has a little bit more to go, and this is another episode on that today. So we're going to be making it a little bit cleaner to actually read, removing outdated behavior from the blueprints, converting things to code if they need it, and making it more optimized so that our game runs as fast and as well as we want it to. Now, if you want to get caught up in the entire fighting game tutorial series and check out everything we've done, like our different projectiles, our different players, our different playable characters, our controllers, and a whole lot more, I'll link you to the entire fighting game tutorial series playlist right here in the top right corner, so you can check all that out. Alternatively, if you only care about the cleaning up of your animation blueprints in your game, making it more efficient, converting blueprints to code, and just having a functioning animation blueprint in your fighting game, you're still in the right place. You don't have to follow along with the whole series to follow along with this episode. I recommend that you check out the previous episodes of cleaning up the animation blueprint, as we have done quite a few because it is very large in our game, and each episode reveals something new about the animation blueprint that we've improved, and so knowing those things will help you understand why we're doing what we're doing in today's episode, but also some ideas for your own game on how to clean that up and make that more efficient. I'll link the first episode of the animation blueprint cleanup right here in the top right corner. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. This is a code and blueprint tutorial series. As I mentioned, we're going to be cleaning up our animation blueprint. So the vast majority of the behavior is going to be in the AnimBP, which is a blueprint, and that's where we're going to start. Let's go to Blueprints, AnimBPs, and the animation blueprint that we're cleaning up. Specifically, it is going to be our mutant AnimBP root motion, as this is our main animation blueprint, which has all of our logic in it that we are going to need for the tutorial. And there's a couple things I want to start off with that are very simple. They were kind of hiding up here in my top right of my animation blueprint, but they are events from my X rifle punch. Rifle punch is an attack in our game. X rifle punch is when we use some of our super meter to perform that attack. We call them X attacks in our game. And this is still using an old method of creating our proximity hitbox. We have a new method for this, so we're going to convert that. And we also have crouch light, crouch medium that are using the old behavior for both the proximity and the strike hitboxes. Earlier in the cleanup of the AnimBP, we already went over converting all of our other hitboxes to use this new method. Essentially, we retrieve all the hitbox names from our hitbox data table, and then we pass the corresponding hitbox index in to this function, create hitbox from data table row, which then goes in, grabs the hitbox based off of that row name, then creates the hitbox of the corresponding type. Now, we never really cleaned up this function for a few reasons that I did mention in those episodes, one of which being we're going to be modifying this further, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. The main thing is that I want to call create hitbox from data table row wherever I am creating my different hitboxes, unless I have a specific reason not to. And for those three cases that I mentioned up above here, we do not have a specific case not to. So we can go ahead and add these to the list of hitboxes that are properly being converted and modified in our game within our animation blueprint. So I like to keep all these things together. At this point, this represents all my hitboxes that are not projectiles. Projectiles are over here to the left. They have a slightly different flow, but they still follow the same basic pattern, and we'll want to convert these as well. But let's not worry about that right now. Let's start with the three that I mentioned. So starting out, we have X rifle punch started. When my AnimNotify say started, this is when we are spawning our proximity hitbox. Proximity hitboxes don't deal damage. They are hitboxes to trigger another character's block, to kind of just showcase the spacing to the player. We have this mutant X rifle punch right here. This is our animation that our character would be playing during their X attack. You'll see that they have X rifle punch started. So this is when we start the proximity hitbox. The active is not all the way until this point. So this is not the strike hitbox, this is just the proximity hitbox. And I point this out because in our data table for hitboxes, which is in blueprints, library BPs, mutant hitbox data, we have all of our different hitboxes with their types. This specific one is our rifle punch hitbox, and we have an X rifle punch hitbox 2 here, which you can see is a strike hitbox. But again, that's not right. We want a proximity hitbox, and if you look through our proximity hitboxes, you'll see that we do not have one that represents the X rifle punch hitbox 1. But this is perfectly fine. We have a few options here. We can simply add a new one and use that one, or we could use an existing one. Although a lot of my hitboxes may share the same parameters right now, to turn this into a real game, every hitbox is likely going to be at least a little bit different. And so as we've been cleaning this up, I've been making sure to add new entries to this data table, and today is not going to be any different. I am going to add a value to this data table. We'll rename this row X Rifle Punch Hitbox 1. And we can make the type a proximity. The hitbox height was not being set in here. You'll notice that. And so that means we can use whatever height we would use for our other hitboxes. In X Rifle Punch, the hitbox 2 type was high. I'm going to set the hitbox height to be high on this proximity as well. Now for the hitbox transform here, we need to copy the values that we set in this create proximity hitbox function call. 0 on the X, 0 on the Z, but negative 100 on the Y. 0 on the X, negative 100 on the Y, 0 on the Z. For the rotation, it is all zeros, and for the scale, it is all ones. This is already the case. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. If we go to our create proximity hitbox function, you'll see that it actually takes in a type, a block stun frames, and transform. The block stun frames here was being set to 0 in the event graph, but you'll see some of our other proximity hitboxes do have block stun frames, and they should. The reasoning was the attacker hits the other character with their proximity hitbox. Yes, they haven't done damage, but if the receiver is already blocking, then they go into block stun, meaning now they're bracing for the attack and they will be hit by that attack. We haven't followed that number of block stun frames for a lot of our different hitboxes, so it's up to you if you want to do this or not. I think even though we haven't done this for all of our attacks, it is smart to do it for this, especially since the non-X attack version does have block stun frames. I set it to a high number like 40. We can just do the same here. Block stun frames can be 40. All the other values can be left alone. At this point, we do have the information we need to recreate this proximity hitbox, and that means if we go X Rifle Punch started, we can still do this specific logic to the X attack. What this is doing is setting the materials on the character to be the specific materials to the X attack, so this is just basically applying the VFX to the attack. That's still good. But now what I want to do is make sure that we use this create hitbox from data table row function and pass in the hitbox names value that will map to our X Rifle Punch attack hitbox 1. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but just to be sure that you're grabbing the right attack, what you can do is go to your hitbox names, which is going to be in blueprint initialize animation. At the end of this event, we grabbed our mutant hitbox data table row and we just set all the row names to this hitbox names array. And that means the index that we see in the data table row field in our data table is going to be the same index we want to use for this attack. If we go back to our data table, you'll see that we have this index on the left side here. It is 1 based, meaning that it starts at 1. So we just have to take this value and subtract 1 from it. Since our X Rifle Punch hitbox 1 is index 29, we subtract 1 from it and we get index 28. If we are to now place our hitbox names, get can be a copy. We don't need a reference, but it can also be a reference. Doesn't really matter in this case. And get index 28. It's okay for this to be hard-coded because this is our identifier. This attack is already playing, this AnimNotify is firing. We are manually binding that attack to this hitbox on that frame, and that's what we want. So hitbox names at index 28, and now we call create hitbox from data table row. And we pass in the resulting hitbox name to the data table row name. This is not a projectile, so we leave projectile parent alone. We compile and we save. Beautiful, and now that hitbox has been converted to our system. Now we also have to do this for our mutant crouch light and mutant crouch medium started and active hitboxes. It'll go much faster this time because we know what we're doing. So first of all, make sure that you don't have any crouch hitboxes in here, and you will actually see that we do. We have both a crouch light hitbox 2 and crouch medium hitbox 2, which if you notice, crouch light and crouch medium are right here. And we were using the data table row, but we were not using our new method yet. We'll get to them in a second. You'll see that we have this section where most of our started AnimNotifys were going to the same hitbox from data table row. These are all the ones that I haven't created specific data table row values for. And when I look at the proximity hitbox here, you'll see it's the same as the one we just made for the X rifle punch started. So if you want, you can really just map these two to the other started AnimNotifys. Alternatively, you can make proximity hitboxes for each of these. This is for our crouch light and crouch medium attack. Like I mentioned, I want to do this the right way, so I am going to add 2 new rows. I will right click and rename the first one to be Crouching Light HB1. Next one is going to be Crouching Medium HB1. And for both of these, we can just use the same values for now. So we have proximity hitbox, 0 block stun frames, -100 on the Y, everything else is default. Let's give these some block stun frames. Let's just give them 40 as well. And that means all we need to do is change the location Y to be -100, change the block stun frames to be 40. Do this for both the light and the medium. -100 on the Y, 40 block stun frames. And you know what? Let's make it 20. 20 for each. That way it's a little bit different when we're crouching and standing still. Great. And now we have our started hitboxes for our crouching light and crouching medium. What we can do here is the same thing. We can call create hitbox from data table row. Using our hitbox names array, we can actually just copy what we did above and paste it in here. And I'll move these apart a little bit now because we do have our own functions or our own hitboxes for each of these. Make sure you change the index. So for crouching light hitbox 1, that is index 30 minus 1, which is 29. Change this to 29. Compile and save. For the crouching medium, we have that right here. We can paste this again. We are doing the same logic again, but this time we are going to use index 30 because it's going to be index 31 in the data table minus 1, which is 30. Perfect. Both the crouching light and the crouching medium were setting can move to be false after using them. This is also old behavior. This was doing duplicate logic. Initially, when we created a lot of our attacks, we forcibly set can move to be false. That way the player or the character couldn't move when using that attack. However, when we use an attack now, we go to this logic up here to the top left where we start attack transition. This is when we start going from a state to an attack, and we call start command transition. And in here we set can move to be false. So that means we do not need to forcibly set can move to be false here. If we go back down to our logic, now we don't have those extra can move sets being done in the animation blueprint. The last two are the crouching light actives or the strike hitboxes. And again, we can just do the same thing. We don't want to use our manual data table rows in our create active hitbox here anymore. We can delete these and we can paste these nodes. So for crouching light active, we want to use the crouching light hitbox 2 that was made here, index 20 minus 1, index 19. Perfect. And one more, we have our crouching medium. This one is index 21, crouching medium hitbox 2, minus 1 is 20. Great, compile and save. Now we got rid of all that extra junk from those other events that weren't really adding anything of value and actually weren't following the process that we set up a couple episodes ago. I'm also going to add all of these to a comment, because all of this logic right here is for spawning hitboxes. Now that we're finally cleaning up our animation blueprint, we should probably section some of this stuff out because there's a ton in here, and even though we're making all of it smaller, we still want to make sure that we can understand what's going on. So add comment, create hitboxes from AnimNotify. And we can just make this as big as we need it to encompass all of our AnimNotify. You can leave some extra space if you want for future AnimNotify, or just scale it when you add more. Something like this should do the trick. Make this a little bit smaller here. This can still be cleaned up more. Like, I like the way that these were all kept to be the same distance apart for every one of these, and we haven't done this here. I also think we should spawn the hitbox before starting the X attack effects, because then we can keep our flow on our X attacks the same as all of our other attacks. So we move them in here. Then after creating the proximity hitbox, trigger the X attack effects on the character, we keep our same design there. And now we're looking pretty good. We do have a few other ones. We have 2 more specifically, or really 3 more. Now, the reason that we left these ones alone is because they were slightly different than our other hitboxes, as in they had more logic associated with them. In the next episode of cleaning up our animation blueprint, we will cover these AnimNotify as well as our projectiles. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on cleaning up your animation blueprint in your fighting game series. If you did, please subscribe and consider joining the YouTube membership, Patreon subscriptions, and Discord subscriptions to help benefit the channel. I really appreciate all who have. You're all fantastic. Thank you so much for all the love and support. If you ran into any problems following this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There is a link in the description. I would be happy to help you out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.